everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. If it's your first time, then welcome. And to all my subscribers that it isn't your first time, I'm so happy to have you back. So today I'm quite excited because I am going to be doing another tray. So let's jump into the video. So this tray actually is not what I intended it originally to be, because it came out so beautifully that I actually changed my mind of what I was going to do at the end with it. So here I have my small oval tray and I have mixed up some resin with some white pigment paste, and I'm actually using this is nail powder. It's actually from the nail section. It's exactly like a normal mica powder, but I thought I would use it up. I have got so many other mica powders now. I thought I would use these before I start using some of my other micas that I've got. So all I'm doing here is I am just sprinkling it onto the tray. There's no resin or anything on the tray. It's basically the mica powder is being sprinkled straight directly onto the mold. And what I was hoping to get from this was a marbled effect that doesn't use two different color resins. So normally my marbled effect I do, if I am doing it, I will mix up two different colored resins and then I would marble it like that. But I actually saw this on BMOS Design Studio. It's Laura, and she did it in one of the videos I watched the other day, and I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. So I thought I'd try it myself. I haven't done it this way before. I'm sure a lot of other people have used this technique before, but I haven't. So when I saw it, I thought I need to try this. So all she did was she put the mica powder on like I showed, and then sprayed it with her 99% alcohol, and then poured on the white resin. Now, like I said in the beginning, I was actually going to use this in a totally different way that I did end up using this tray. I did use this mold. It's not a very good mold. It's actually, I used it once before and I got some silicone on it. So it is damaged a little bit. And so I thought what I was going to do originally, it wouldn't matter, because the way I was going to use it, and I'm not giving anything away because I am still going to do that design, you wouldn't see the blemish at the bottom of the tray. So like I said, I ended up not doing that, and I ended up using this tray for something else, but I was able to fix the little blemish before I finished this tray off. So what I did now was, because I just didn't have enough to fill the back of the tray, I decided I would just change it up and make a little bit of a purple resin with my alcohol inks, my blue and my pink, which makes up a purple, and then I poured that over the top of the white that I had poured in, because I'm sure a lot of people know, if you are in the resin community. If you're not, I will explain that once you have poured your resin onto the mold, most of the time, unless it's a sinker that you use, it will not sink down onto your original pour. So the back will be totally different to the front, and it doesn't actually make any difference to the color that you poured originally. So this, I was just making it a little bit funky at the back, having a little bit of purples and blues and pinks, just basically to fill up the mold. I could have left it white, but I think the purples actually looked really nice in the end. So now, before you let it cure, if you want to get rid of any of the bubbles, you can either use 99% alcohol, give it a spray. That does get rid of some of the air bubbles that are floating on the top, or you can use your lighter, which is what I did, or you can use a heat gun, but obviously I didn't really want to use the heat gun. After all, it was only going to be the back. So then it was ready to cure overnight and ready for unmolding. So the next day, how gorgeous is that back? I really thought the back came out really beautifully, but I wasn't actually ready for what the front looked like. I had seen Laura's and I knew that it really was a nice technique to use. But I actually wasn't ready for how gorgeous this tray came out. And like I said, look how beautiful that marbling is. Absolutely gorgeous. Now I do think I forgot to say that I added some of my glitter. It's the fine rhinestone glitter, but I was actually really upset that I had used the tray that had the bit of silicone in it. There, you can see trying to pick at it with my finger, but unfortunately it is on the mold there, and it was literally stuck in. Well, it was actually a hole in the tray, because when I tried to take the silicone out, when I damaged it, I had left a little hole. But absolutely stunning. I love it. And that the copperish glitter, mica, shimmers beautifully. So what I decided to do was scrapped my original design that I was going to do on it, because I didn't want to ruin how beautifully this tray came out. So I got they PET stickers, and they are little potion bottles, and I thought the ones with the blues and the pinks would work beautifully with this tray. So I used my resin as a top coat, and I gave it a thin coat. I didn't want it too thick. This tray is not very deep, so I didn't want a thick coating on it. So as long as it covered the base and I was able to put the stickers in, then that is plenty. I didn't want it too high, because then you basically take away the idea of it being a tray. So here I was just getting it into the corners and spreading it out so that I was ready to add my little potion bottles. Now these PET stickers, I don't have any PET stickers that have a sticky back on them, other than my UV DTFs that have your sticky backs. They're actual stickers. None of my PET stickers have sticky backs. So if I ever mention my PET stickers, they're not actually stickers. They're more inserts. So I thought that these bottles they fitted and blended in with those colors perfectly, absolutely perfectly. So here what I do is, like I said, you put a coat of your clear resin, and then you place them onto the resin, and then the easiest way is to scrape out the resin that's underneath the stickers. And so basically you are causing, I wouldn't say a vacuum, but they end up laying directly onto the tray, but they get held in place with your resin. And here I'm just using my silicone tool. It's got a spade edge on it, and I was just wiping out the resin that was underneath the actual sticker. Now I used a lolly stick or tongue depressor, whatever you like to call them, just to hold it down while I was squeezing out the resin from underneath the stickers. It does take a little bit of time, but once it's all out, you can position them nicely, but they won't move. Well, mine don't move. Once you have put them in place and they are ready to cure, you don't have to worry that they're going to float around, because it does actually cause excuse me, quite a nice suction onto the bottom of the tray. Now these PET stickers are from Temu, and I do have quite a lot of PET stickers. I got another whole lot again in my latest Temu haul. If you want to go and watch that, it is out. It was out on Saturday, so go and have a look. Some of them, these stickers weren't in there, but I have got quite a few other PET sticker sets that I got there. I also got a few Christmas ones because I thought I'd jump on the bandwagon and start ordering some Christmas things so that when Christmas season comes around, I will be ready and waiting for it. So here I was just making sure that the resin was even and I didn't have any fish eyes or any sections where the resin was not covering. So it does take a while. I have left it in real time. This whole video I have not sped any of the sections up. It didn't take that long. A lot of my videos do take me quite a while, and that is why a lot of the time I don't do live filming when I talk at the same time, because I can take hours to do something, and I'm sure nobody wants to sit and watch me doing things for hours. So now I was just adding a little bit more where I could see that the resin needed just a little bit of a top up, because like I said, I didn't want any fish eyes or any gaps anywhere. And sometimes, especially if your surface isn't level, you end up with fish eyes when you are least expecting them. Unfortunately, that can happen. And then just to make sure that there was no air bubbles, I used my heat gun and I went over the resin with my heat gun. It does get rid of the air bubbles really nicely. And if you are using it on a top coat like this, it is a good idea to use a heat gun if you have got one. If you don't have a heat gun, you can use a hairdryer. Just be careful, depending on how powerful your hairdryer is, that you don't blow the resin out of the tray. But the heat guns or the hairdryers work really well to get rid of the bubbles. So that is a good tip. I would never use my alcohol on my top coats. I think I used it once, and the resin, whether it was just my resin I was using, it ended up being cloudy. So I had to put another top coat on top of it. So there we go. It was done. It was ready to cure the top coat, and I will pop up some pictures of what it looked like once the top coat was cured. I am so happy with how it turned out. So thanks so much for joining me today. This project is really a reminder that sometimes our craft suppliers have better ideas than we do. Because what started one project actually turned into something completely different, and honestly, I couldn't be happier with the result. So let me know in the comments if you've ever changed your mind halfway through a project, because it actually turned out better than expected. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, please give it a thumbs up. And I don't always like to ask, but subscribing really makes a difference to my small channel. And if you want to see any more of my crafting adventures, then join me again and again, as usual. Until next time, have a great one.